Hiya folks, how you all doing? It's Will here, back once again. We're back here for another fight card prediction. Coming off a great card at UFC Rotterdam where I did fairly well with my picks there and my bets, had a great week there. We're on to UFC 198 from Curitiba in Brazil, from the Arena de Barrada, like a soccer stadium I believe, for a card which I've been looking forward to for a long time, and luckily enough, going into fight week, it stayed intact, which is fantastic. All the legends pretty much of Brazilian MMA are pretty much on this regarding Anderson, Shogun, Werdum, Little Nog, Cris Cyborg, Demian Maia. So not many of the top Brazilians been left out. Overall a very good card. Just want to give a few shout outs as always to all the people that watch, all the people that leave messages or comments down below in the drop down box. I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Keep going with that. Leave who you think will win the fights. I will get back to you as soon as I can. As always, go follow the guys who also make prediction videos or the fights that are coming up or have podcasts. You will find a link down below with the guys that I follow regularly, week in, week out, and listen to their stuff, watch their stuff, and they can help you win some money like it did for me, my good mate Kyle Rockstars. He put me on the Raising My Daddy bet for last week, made me some money there, so thank you Kyle very much for that. I appreciate it, buddy. So go follow the guys when you get the chance. You can also follow him on Twitter, willmartin7 MMA. Also go go on Facebook, MMA Betting Sharks. Have a discussion bit on there where you can go and discuss your bets, upcoming fights. So go and have a look on Facebook for that. So we're going to get into this event. Fights, great fights littered all the way throughout this fight card. I'm really looking forward to it. I enjoyed the tape watching of all this, and I think I've got a few surprises in there of who might win. So we're going to start off in the featherweight division. We have Renato Moicano Carneiro against Zubara Tukhugov. Now we'll start with Zubara Tukhugov, 18-3 record, all around just a decent fighter. He's got really good kickboxing skills. Sometimes he gets a little bit aggressive where he gets himself out of position, but he's got really good takedown defense. So that over exuberance on the feet it doesn't really hamper him too much because he's got some decent takedown defense. Last performance, I didn't think it was his greatest looking performance against Felipe Nogueira back in December. I actually thought he would come in there and starch Nogueira a little bit. I thought he'd have a little bit too much, but he kind of struggled, and Nogueira being the great veteran, has kind of kept himself in it. Renato Moicano, this is the first time we've seen him in about nearly 18 months. Coming off a really nice win, this UFC debut against Tom Ninimaki. Watched that fight this afternoon. Showed some really good skills. The guy's got legit ground skills. If he gets you to the ground, he can definitely cause some problems. I thought he showed improved striking from what I've seen before he came into the UFC. Definitely improved striking there, and he's going to need it against Tukhugov here, because I can see his kind of game plan for this one is to try and keep it competitive on the feet and try and back Tukhugov to where he can possibly get a takedown. Don't like the fact he's been out so long. From what I've looked and what I've seen, it's not due to injuries either, so that's a little bit of a kind of worry for myself. But I'm going to go with underdog in this one. I just looked at some of the odds there, and I will probably be betting Carneiro in this one. I don't think Tukhugov is a good fighter coming through, but I think in Brazil, I think Moicano is definitely showing skills where he's kind of trending upwards, and that's why I kind of like kind of fights like this with somebody that's relatively unknown against a guy coming up, because I think Moicano has got the skills here to win this fight. So my pick is going to be Moicano Carneiro via decision. I think it'll be a very close fight, but I can see him getting the judges nod in this one, so Carneiro will be my pick for that one. Welterweight division, we have Sergio Moraes against Luan Chagas. This was supposed to be Kamaru Usman, who I was going to pick to win this fight, but he pulled out, I think it was about a week ago due to injury. So Chagas has come in here, 14-1 record. Watched some fights of his this afternoon. Very aggressive striker, but very sloppy and very open for counters, for takedowns. Very good on the ground, I must say. Most of his wins are coming by submission, if I remember right. But I think when if it goes to the ground, which I can see it happening with Moraes, because Moraes is one of the guys who wants to take it down there. He's got legit skills down there as well. He's probably a level or two above Chagaz. So that's where I think the fight will kind of play out. Nice for Chagaz to get the call into the UFC with the record that he has. Fights before he came into the UFC, it doesn't look like he's fought the best of guys, I must admit. Sergio Moraes, on the other hand, I think this guy's on a 4-fight win streak. He's got Neil Magny in there. I think it was way back at UFC 163, coming off a win over Omari Akhmedov back in December, where he was probably losing that fight going into round number 3. And with Akhmedov, sometimes he gets a little bit lazy and a bit lacklustre. And Moraes caught him, and when Moraes hurt him, he was all over him. Really good finisher is Sergio Moraes. The game plan for this one, I think, is to just kind of keep it competitive in the feet and then look for them opportunities to take this fight to the ground. And when he gets it to the ground, I think he has a clear level above Chagaz, even though he did say Chagaz is decent down there. I like Sergio Moraes. I like him by submission in round number 2. Lightweight division, another pretty decent fight. Francisco Trinaldo against Yancy the Kid Medeiros. Another fight I watched, I think it was last night after the fights in Rotterdam finished. I watched Yancy Medeiros, his last win at UFC 194 against John McDessie. And I watched it without the commentary. Something I do quite a lot of when fights are quite close. I'll rewatch fights without the commentary on it. And I thought Yancy Medeiros, a lot of people were saying, you got McDessie got screwed out of that one, he got robbed, this, that, all that bullshit that usually comes across with close fights, not robberies. And I thought Medeiros looked okay. I thought he gassed a little bit too much. I thought McDessie had his opportunities to possibly take that fight out, but Medeiros is all heart. He's a very tough, gritty fighter, and he keeps himself in it. He's got really good striking. I think he's a little bit chinny, but I don't think against someone like McDessie, where he doesn't really put much output, that was a kind of good fight from him. But the fight before that with Poirier was a tough one. Trinaldo, on the other hand, is kind of coming on. He's on a little bit of a streak now. He's looking very confident, hard to kind of stop. Did that against Ross Pearson. I thought he kind of made Ross Pearson look very, very average. I thought the fight before, and he knocked out Charles Pries with a beautiful shot there. And then there was the fight with Norman Park, which I actually think he lost that fight, in all honesty. I don't see how he really won that fight. But he's coming into his own in the lightweight division. He's a tough guy to fight. This is a tough fight for Yancy Medeiros, but this is a very close fight in my opinion. Most of the time I've been kind of wanting to, if it's a close fight, I'll go with underdog in this one, as I've said from the start of the year, which has kind of served me quite well. But I just think, being in Brazil, if this fight gets close, they're going to be in Trinaldo's hands. I think he's just a little bit better everywhere, but I do think this is going to be a close fight. I think it's going to be a split decision win. I can see a judge giving it to Medeiros in some capacity here, so Francisco Trinaldo right for me there. Fight Pass Premier Prelim, we have Little Nog, Rogerio Nogueira against Patrick Cummins. Now this is another one I've been going back and forward on, because Nog has been out since last August, since he lost to Shogun. We all know his skills. He's a really decent boxer. He's got those jiu-jitsu skills, and but we don't really kind of overly see the jiu-jitsu skills an awful lot. But this guy, he's a decent fighter. He beats decent fighters. We've seen that with Rashad Evans, but maybe that's saying something about Rashad Evans. He's been in and out with injuries, and we haven't seen much of him. Beat T. Ortiz at UFC 140. But his last 4 losses, he's lost to Shogun, Rumble Johnson, Phil Davis and Ryan Bader. Now those guys are probably outside the top 3 of Gustafsson, Jones and Cormier. You could probably look at Johnson's definitely up there as probably the number 3 guy, and then you've got Gustafsson, but then you've got Phil Davis and Ryan Bader 4 and 5, 5 and 6 maybe, definitely in that division. So he's lost to good guys. Patrick Cummins, we all know what this guy's going to do. He's going to be in your face, kind of wrestle you to the ground. So this is where I think the jiu-jitsu skills of Little Nog will come to the fore here, because I think he can beat up Cummins on the feet. I really do. It's whether he can stop the attacks of Patrick Cummins, because we all know what Patrick Cummins is going to do. He's going to come forward, he's going to take you down, he's going to ground and pound you, and you may get back to your feet, but he's going to keep coming forward, put you against the cage and take you down again. Now, I see this as another close fight like I did beforehand, and I usually go with underdog. This time I'm going to go with underdog. Not very confident in it, but being in Brazil, I think this card is just, it's kind of showcase for these Brazilian stars, and I think Nogueira could really start this train of the big fighters getting big victories, because this is a kind of do or die kind of fight, I think, for Little Nog. If he's going to really keep himself around in the UFC, he needs to be beating guys like Patrick Cummins. So I'm going to go with Antonio Rogerio Nogueira via decision. I think he will take his lumps in this one, but he'll come out the other end of it. So I'm going to go Little Nog via decision. Moving on to the Fox Sports 1 card, and we're starting off with a great fight in the bantamweight division. We have John Hands of Stone Lineker against Rob Font. Now, Lineker, I don't know how you can't be a fan of this guy, because he's tiny, he's smaller than I am. I'm a little dude, but the guy has got some serious power, and we've seen that last time. I was a little bit bummed actually that his fight with Cody Garbrandt kind of fell out, because I thought that had the potential to be an unbelievable fight between No Love and Hands of Stone. Hopefully that can kind of go down in the future again. But this guy should probably be fighting at 125. If he can keep his weight under control, he'd probably be facing Demetrius Johnson next, or he could have been facing him previous instead of Henry Cejudo. Just relentless. If you get into a brawl with this guy, there's only going to be one winner. We've seen that in the Francisco Rivera fight, where it was just all action. Rivera was against the fence, and he was winging punches left, right and centre, and eventually you go down if you do that with John Lineker. Now, this is where I think Rob Font could come into his own, because I think if Font fights really smartly, which I believe he can, I expected him to really take out Joey Gomez first round last time, but Gomez showed a lot of skills, to be honest with you, and I think Font showed a lot of not being so aggressive as he has been in the past, fighting a lot smarter, and coming through that. I think he was off with an injury as well, so coming through that fairly well. I think Rob Font has a really good chance of winning this fight if he fights smart and doesn't get into a brawl with John Lineker. But that's saying something. Is he going to get into a little bit of a brawl with him? I don't think. If you're a smart fighter, you just don't do that with John Lineker. We've seen in previous occasions that if you do that, you come out the other end waking up, looking at the lights, or on the losing end. I really think that Rob Font can get this done. It's just whether I'm going to go with him. I'm confident enough to go with him. I'm going to go with Rob Font via decision. I think he's going to try and fight a decent fight, keep it at range, just try not get into the kill spot of John Lineker. Lineker goes well to the body as well, so that's something to keep an eye on. I think Font is definitely the bigger guy by about 6 inches. Don't think the reach is overly too much either. I'm going to go Rob Font for the biggest win in his career against John Lineker, but this is a flyer for me because I think John Lineker is a really good fighter at 135, 125. Not many people, I don't think, want to face this guy. I'm just going to go on a little bit of a flyer here, go with underdog. I'm going to go Rob Font via decision. Moving on to the middleweight division, we have Thiago Marato Santos against Nate the Great Marquardt. I don't think I like this fight too much for Nate Marquardt. His chin, I think, is gone. And facing a guy like Thiago Marato Santos, who has that quick kind of fibre reaction skill to like get a head kick up really quick or make you look at the ground so he can get that head kick up, against the guy whose chin is gone. I mean, he got hit by CB Dollaway. I don't even think it was a big shot, and he kind of buckled a little bit before he took out CB Dollaway. Shown improved footwork as well. His fight IQ is getting a lot better. His takedown defense is getting a lot better. I thought he would have got taken down against Elias Theodoro, and Elias did not have a great time doing that. And in the clinch, he took some big knees, which took a lot out of Theodoro. Nate Marquardt, I said, coming off that win over CB Dollaway, honestly didn't think that would go down either, because I thought he was in the decline. I still think he's in the decline, and this is, as I say, I think this is a card showcase for the Brazilian stars, and this is a Brazilian star coming through with heavy power, and I just think that overall that power is going to some way find it on to Nate Marquardt's chin. Marquardt overall is a good fighter. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. really good kickboxing, Muay Thai, some decent power himself, but I just think this is a win for Thiago Santos. I can see him finding that chin within the first 2 rounds when he has a superior gas tank as well. So I'm going to go a second round TKO for Thiago Santos. Welterweight division with Warlley Alves against Bryan Barberena. Barberena, we all know, coming off that big win down, I think it was 170, I believe, against Sage Northcutt. Very aggressive fighter, comes forward, is always in your face, and he's a really hard guy to take out. But he's facing a guy who's streaking at the minute in Warlley Alves, who I think can be a definite contender in this 170 pound division. I mean, wins over Alan Jouban, which I thought was a very sloppy performance, gassed himself out pretty badly. Since then, he's looked phenomenal. Submission victories over Nordin Taleb and Colby Covington at UFC 194. This is where I think the guy's got a definitive advantage if the fight hits the mat. I do think his jiu-jitsu skills are a level above Barberena. On the feet, I think that if his cardio's there, his power will stay throughout the fight, and he'll be dangerous on there. Barberena's going to come forward, he's going to pepper you with shots and be there all the time. I think Alves could finish it with a submission, definitely, but I'm going to go Alves via decision for the victory there. And the prelim fight for the Fox Sports 1 card, we have Demian Maia against Matt the Immortal Brown. Great fight. Matt Brown, what can we say about the guy? The guy's a warrior. I think he knows this is a fight that not many people are going to pick this guy to win, because I think he said himself that this is probably his hardest matchup he could possibly get within the UFC. Won a lot of fights recently. I mean, he beat Swick, he beat Jordan May, and he beat Mike Pyle, Eric Silva in a great fight. Won against, is that really a year he's been out? Wow, I can't believe nearly July. When he beat Tim Means. Losses to Johnny Hendricks, which was a really fun fight. Takedown defense was a little bit lacking, but great fight. Robbie Lawler, which was always going to be a fun fight. We all know he's going to come forward, he's going to try and take you out with every shot that he throws. But I think he's going to leave openings here for Demian Maia, and we've seen Demian Maia at UFC 194. This guy is the man when it hits the ground. I think there's no doubt about it. We've seen Gunnar Nelson last night. I knew that Gunny had a great chance of winning that fight, and that's why I went with him. I bet Gunnar Nelson as well. But that shows you just how dominant Demian Maia is on the ground. That guy is a level, true level above anybody else down there. And I think down there he's going to really school Matt Brown. Can Matt Brown survive? I don't think he can. I think once Maia gets him to the ground, maybe not the first time, but possibly the second time, he's going to control him, he's going to find a submission. So it's going to be a second round submission for me for Demian Maia. Moving on to the main card, we're starting off in the light heavyweight division. We have one of the best. Every time this guy's in the fight, I always get a smile on my face. He's been one of the guys I've watched for years, and it's been a pleasure to actually watch him fight for years. Mauricio Shogun Rua against Corey Anderson. Now, Rua's coming off a win. Nice win over Little Nog. A little bit sloppy here and there. I think he's at King's MMA now, so he's working there with Rafael Cordeiro. Showed some of his old skills back in the day, like his very aggressive shooter box style. And all around, he's just a decent fighter, a good fighter. Is he on the twilight of his career? I do believe so. But I think he's got an opponent here, which I think he can bring out the W, get the W out of this fight. I really do. When I was looking more into it, I was picking Corey Anderson. I watched the fights, and I just believe that Mauricio, this is a huge stage. I think he's from Curitiba as well, and he's going to set this main card off in the right way, which I think this main card is going to be all finishes. I don't see... I just got a funny feeling this main card will be all finishes, but we will see. He's against Corey Anderson here, the Ultimate Fighter winner from a couple of years back now. He's on a little bit of a win streak, pretty dominant over Jan Blachowicz, Fabio Maldonado, Tom Lawler, but hasn't looked really spectacular in doing so. I thought he could have really had his way with Tom Lawler last time out and really didn't kind of show me anything new. Blachowicz and Maldonado are good wins, and he can get into a little bit of a war with he did with Volante, and he showed that his chin is there, but he took some big shots in that one. I think it was a broken jaw as well. Justin Jones was his other win in the UFC. I think that Mauricio Shogun Rua is going to turn back the clock here, and we're going to see some old-time Shogun. At least I'm hoping so anyway. And I'm going to go with Mauricio Shogun Rua. It's going to have to be a knockout, because over 3 rounds I just don't see how he will stop not getting taken down over the 3 rounds. So I'm going to go on a fly as another one. I'm going to bet this as well. I'm going to pick Mauricio Shogun Rua. I had a really good night betting, so I've got some money to kind of go forward for this one. I'm going to pick Shogun for the win here, and I think it would be pretty awesome to see that crowd kind of pop off once Shogun gets that win. So tough fight, but I believe he can do it. I believe that Shogun can get the win here. My pick will be Shogun Rua, TKO, round number 1. Moving on, we have the UFC debut of Cris Cyborg, I should say, Christina Cyborg, against Leslie Smith here. So Leslie Smith coming off that win over Rinnakai, very kind of sloppy. She's kind of like a Diaz brother, but not as kind of refined as what the Diaz brothers are, I should say. But she got the win over Rinnakai. She's probably a natural 125er. She's fought down at 125. I think Barb Honchak, she fought her down there. I could be wrong. And that's probably the true division for her, which is something we might see in the very near future with Calderwood and Letourneau fighting in Canada at 125. I think Elmos, we saw in Rotterdam yesterday, needs to go at 125 if they ever make that division. And Leslie Smith would be a good addition in that one as well. Christine Cyborg. Christine Justino Cyborg. What can you say about this guy? This girl's probably the best female fighter there has ever been. I think that's not. I don't think Ronda Rousey is. I think she's up. I think there's her and Cyborg up there, but I think Cyborg overall is just better for me. A complete savage of a woman to watch, and she has some really good technique as well. I saw her at the Invicta fight before UFC 189 last year, and the girl she was against was just shitting it before she even got in the cage. She had no right really being in there. And I think it's great that she's in the UFC here. Catch weight 140 pounds. She's going to be the bigger, more powerful opponent here. Fighter here, I should say, against Leslie Smith, who is very game, who's going to come forward and give you a fight. But I just think that Cyborg is going to nail her with some shots that is going to make Leslie Smith kind of regret even taking this fight. I don't see it getting out of round number 1. I know that Smith is tough and she's scrappy, but I just have to go with a first round TKO victory for Cris Cyborg. I think she's just going to go through Leslie Smith pretty easily, and we'll see where she goes from here. Whether she can make 135, I don't think she can, but maybe some people might go up to 140, might Zingano's, I don't know, in the future. We'll just need to wait and see, maybe Durandamy. So Cyborg, round number 1, TKO for me there. Middleweight division with Anderson the Spider Silva against Uriah Primetime Hall. Right, Anderson Silva, I thought he didn't. I don't think he fought great in London, and it was still a very close fight in which some people gave him the win. I gave it, when I watched it initially the first time, I gave the win to Silva. I watched it the second time, definitely I think a Michael Bisping fight. Can't believe he got dropped by Michael Bisping, I have to say that, and that's why I'm going to go with Uriah Hall in this one, because we all know what Uriah Hall's like. If he turns up, the guy is a destroyer, and we've seen that even against Musasi. He got dominated in round number 1, got up there. I just had a feeling for that fight where he'd take out Musasi. I just had that feeling, and I've kind of got that feeling with this fight here. I know he's against his all-time idol in Anderson Silva here, but Anderson Silva got dropped by Michael Bisping, who I think is pillow fists. The guy doesn't take people out, plain and simple. And Uriah Hall has got some of the flashiest kicks. If he's not already, he needs to really be, fighting your hero, your fighting hero, must be a tough thing to overcome. We all know that Uriah Hall hasn't got everything in between, the 6 inches between his ears. But if he comes into this fight ready, prepared, I actually saw him at UFC 197 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, and I thought he'd be a bigger guy. He's actually quite a very, very slight guy, and I just think he's going to get this done against Anderson Silva. I think Anderson Silva is just not, his head's not back in again. And this is why I'm going to pick Uriah Hall. Say it's a close fight. This is why I'm going to go with underdog. I would probably end up betting Uriah Hall or putting him in a parlay somewhere. I'm going to go Uriah Hall via TKO in round number 2. So yeah, it's a bit of a flyer, but I'm going to take Uriah Hall. I think I'm more confident in picking him than Silva. Middleweight division, the co-main event, we have Ronaldo Jacare Souza against the Phenom Vitor Belfort. This is all about Jacare just surviving like the first round, I believe. I think that Belfort really he's a one-round fighter, and I think we can all see that now. I think once you go out of those rounds, even back to the John Jones days at 205, he came out really hard in that first round, could have nearly finished John Jones. After that, he didn't really show much cardio-wise or anything else. But this guy, to be fair, he's only lost in the last, 5-6 fights, probably his last 6 fights are to Weidman and to John Jones. So he's beat Michael Bisping. I know he was on the gear back then. He beat Luke Rockhold. I know he was in the gear back then. Dan Henderson, I know that. But this guy's still got them skills. I know he showed it last time against Dan Henderson. He comes out that berserker, kind of that blitz, the initial blitz that you've got to watch out for. He showed against Dan Henderson, and that's probably a perfect opponent to show against Dan Henderson. But Jacare's a smart fighter. He knows that's coming, and he will counter if he doesn't clip with something into a takedown where he will once it hits there. I know that I think he's a black belt Belfort, and he's decent down in there. He's shown some skills, but Jacare is, I think, up there with your Demian Maias in the best kind of ground guys in the sport, without a doubt. With Gunnar Nelson not too far back, with Werdum as well. I just see Jacare getting this fight to the ground and then working him from there. I mean, Jacare, I thought, was very unlucky against Yoel Romero. I picked Yoel Romero, but it was a kind of little bit of a dodgy kind of fight. He could have easily won that fight as well. And he needs to win this fight to really keep himself in that talk of getting a UFC middleweight title shot. I'm gonna go Jacare with a round 2 submission here. So Jacare for the win there. And then the main event of the night, Fabricio Werdum against Stipe Miocic. Now, I've been going a little bit back and forward in this fight. People on Twitter are a little bit kind of towards Stipe, some towards Werdum. Watched some fights, and I still think it's a very close fight, but I have come up with who I think will win. I do think it's going to be fairly close, but I think that, let's just start with Stipe Miocic. So Stipe Miocic, Golden Gloves boxer, I think he's a Division 1 All-American wrestler. I could be wrong with that. I could be NCAA, that's it, NCAA Division 1 wrestler. Decent all-around skills, very good cardio, has cardio for days, has decent power for that division. We saw that against Andrei Arlovski, took him out and did it in the first round to get this title shot. He has heart. The guy has a really good chin as well. I know he got taken out by Struve back in the day, but his fight with Junior Dos Santos, he took some shots in that one. He's heart in that one as well. He showed a lot of heart. Very close fight. He could have won that fight as well. Really happy that he's got himself down to Brazil. I think he was there last week, got himself acclimatised to the different weather, to just acclimatised to that country and where he's going to be for the next few weeks or so. But I think Fabricio Werdum, in my opinion, I see this on Twitter a lot, I think Fabricio Werdum, in my opinion, is the greatest heavyweight, or he will be the greatest heavyweight. I think him and Fedor are kind of side by side. Everybody picks Fedor. I think Fabricio Werdum, the people that he's fought, I think the last few years, the skills he has shown and the improvements he has shown since coming out of Strikeforce into the UFC have been phenomenal. Rafael Cordeiro has done an amazing job with his Muay Thai, with his striking. I mean, knocking out Mark Hunt with a really vicious knee, and he's improved striking. He really did light up Cain Velasquez. It was a bit of a sloppy fight, but he showed some really good technical striking in that fight as well. And I was watching that fight, and I think the first time that Cain went in for a takedown, I thought, what are you fucking doing? He's diving in with his head there. I thought, if you do that again, you're getting caught. What happens? He gets back up, goes for that takedown, and as soon as Werdum's back hit the ground, and thought, that's it, and Cain Velasquez went and tapped out. I can see this being very, very close early on. I can see Stipe taking a round. I can see Werdum taking a round. I think once we get into rounds 3 and 4, Cardio's going to come into it. Got to favour Stipe in that one. But I think the better shots are going to be landed by Fabricio Werdum. And I can see Stipe potentially going in for a takedown like Cain Velasquez did and get caught in something or get reversed onto the ground where you're in Verdum's world then and you're in deep, deep shit if you go down there with that guy. So I'm going to pick a round 4 submission for Fabricio Werdum. I'm really kind of torn between this. I think Stipe Miocic has a great chance to win this fight. And especially the heavyweight division, there's always championship always changes hands. I think Miocic, I think it's a very, very, very close. I think 55-45 for Werdum. I want to pick Miocic, but I think Werdum overall is just the better fighter. So my pick will be Fabricio Werdum via submission, round number 4. So that is my picks for UFC 198 from Curitiba, Brazil. I will be back for another fun card in a few weeks' time, and a fight I really cannot wait for. It's the fight between now, since a load of fights were announced, to UFC 201 with looks like Lawler and Woodley now, but Thomas Almeida against Cody Garbrandt, 2 of my favourite fighters facing off. It's going to be a tough one. I already know who I'm picking, but I will let you know when that fight comes around and my predictions who I will be picking. Great fight card on the Sunday night, I believe, in the Mandalay Bay. I mean, Henan Barrow's return, he's moving up to 145 against Jeremy Stevens. Tariq Safadine, Rick Story could be a fun fight. Masvidal Larkin, Paul Felder's on the card, Carlos Diego Ferreira, Aljamain Sterling, another one of my favourite fighters. So this is a fight card I'm looking forward to a lot. Come follow me on Twitter, WillMartin7MMA. Follow the good guys down below me there. Dan Levin, Half the Battle, makes great stuff. Flying Bryan makes great prediction videos. Rockstar Z makes the quickest 10-minute videos ever. You learn a lot of things through that. Severe MMA podcast, Part and Shot podcast. Follow those guys, go listen. And I will be back probably next week for that video for UFC Fight Night 88. All the best. Enjoy this card when it comes around because it's a bomb of a card. And I will see you soon. Take care.